What happens when a team bolts intermediate tires onto a car sitting on a completely bone-dry starting grid?
I mean, you trigger an absolute meltdown, that's what happens.
Exactly. You don't just lose a race. You trigger this 15-minute countdown to a catastrophic organizational collapse. If you think you understand what went down at the Canadian Grand Prix, just rip up your notes right now.
Seriously, throw them away.
Because Montreal wasn't just a race. It was this violent disruption of the entire Formula One world order. You had unpredictable weather. You had a starting grid totally scrambled by teams throwing like every single tire compound imaginable onto the tarmac.
Yeah, except the extreme wets, basically.
Right, except those. And we had a sprint format that delivered just pure, unadulterated fire, which, by the way, I think officially proves it is vastly superior to those traditional free practice snooze fests.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we saw a paddock operating in a state of sheer panic all weekend. When you actually look at the telemetry and the internal pit lane.
The real data, yeah.
Right, the real data. The environmental volatility just tore the masks completely off. Those sanitized PR statements they put out, they're useless now. The raw data exposes exactly what these teams and drivers are made of when the simulation tools just flat out fail them, and they have to rely on pure instinct.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive.
Oh.
We are taking you straight into the inner sanctum of the pit wall.
No holding back.
None. We're decoding the psychological warfare that is actively tearing a top team apart from the inside. We are dissecting a strategic collapse that defies, frankly, all fundamental racing logic.
It really does.
And we're analyzing the shifting tectonic plates of this championship as we leave the flyaways and head straight into the unforgiving European leg.
Because, honestly, the real storm wasn't the Canadian weather. The Category 5 hurricane is what's erupting inside the Mercedes garage right now.
Oh, the hostilities are officially unstoppable. We are literally watching a 19-year-old rookie Kimi Antonelli going bare-knuckle boxing with George Russell.
A 26-year-old veteran.
Right. A guy with over 150 races under his belt. And Antonelli has won an unprecedented 4 out of the first 5 races of this season. He is carrying this massive 43-point lead.
It's unheard of.
And Canada was just brutal. Russell suffers this agonizing mechanical DNF right in the middle of a ferocious, tire-smoking, lock-up-heavy battle with Antonelli.
I mean, that battle was incredible to watch on the data traces. They were pushing those soft tires so far beyond their thermal limits.
Oh, through turn 10.
Yes. Through turn 10, they were locking up, flat spotting, leaning on the Pirelli rubber to an absurd degree, and somehow the tires were recovering. But the only reason that battle happened at all is because Mercedes outright refused to intervene.
Because Toto Wolff implemented what the paddock is internally calling the Max Law.
The Max Law,
exactly. Wolff explicitly told both of them, like, when you are fighting each other on track, imagine you were trying to pass Max Verstappen.
Which is terrifying.
Right. No quarter given, no teammate favors. If you wouldn't try an outside move on Max because you know he'd just run you into the grass, do not try it on George.
It sets this baseline of total aggressive respect. Toto told George basically not to expect the rookie to yield just because they share a garage.
It's such a ruthless management tactic.
It is, because it forces them to race at the absolute ragged edge of legality. They aren't relying on team orders to sort out the hierarchy anymore. Toto is essentially saying, oh, you both want to be the alpha, prove it on the asphalt.
It's so ruthless. And Antonelli is driving like a 19-year-old Terminator sent back in time to end Russell's career.
He really is.
He's making these fearless outside passes, surviving heavy contact, driving completely unleashed. But then, and this is the crazy part, he gets on the radio and starts crying for penalties against his own teammate.
Yeah, radio whining.
Toto actually had to jump on the comms and publicly shut him down mid-race.
Which proves the kid still needs heavy management, you know? Raw pace is one thing, but championship composure is an entirely different beast. Wolff shutting down that radio complaining was essential.
He had to do it.
He's telling Antonelli, you keep the aggression on the track, but you keep the politics inside the debrief room. Antonelli has the speed to absolutely terrify the grid, but looking rattled on the global feed, that is a weakness you just cannot afford when you're fighting for a title.
But let me push back on this a bit. Is Russell actually cursed by bad luck right now? I mean, think about his season.
It's been rough.
China qualifying is ruined by a mechanical issue. The Japan safety car literally hands Antonelli the win. And now, a mechanical DNF in Canada while fighting for the lead. And hear me out, is Antonelli just living rent-free in his head?
Oh, that's the big question.
Right? Is he forcing Russell into these high-pressure car-braking situations where everything just feels desperate?
I mean, look at Russell's career trajectory. It's deep-seated psychological trauma at this point. He spent years rotting in the waiting room at Williams, putting a terrible car into Q3, just begging Toto for a seat while Valtteri Bottas drove his car.
Yeah, he was the eternal guy in the waiting room.
Exactly. He finally gets the Mercedes drive, only to have to defer to Lewis Hamilton. And even before that, in his junior career, he had to watch Lando Norris get the prime McLaren seat while he was stuck at the back.
He's always been told to just hold on a little longer.
Precisely. And the second he pushes Hamilton out, the exact moment it is legally and undeniably his team question. Mercedes brings in a teenager whose prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed.
And this kid wins 4 of his first 5 races.
Right. Yes, the DNF in Canada was a mechanical failure, not a driver error. But when you drive under that crushing weight of perceived unfairness, every minor setup issue feels like a conspiracy against you.
It fundamentally changes how you breathe inside the cockpit.
You overdrive the car. You burn through your tires faster because you are desperately trying to prove you are still the #1 driver.
Wow. I mean, the internal dynamic at Mercedes is completely toxic, but at least they're fighting at the front of the grid.
True.
Because McLaren's situation is a completely different level of catastrophe. 0 points.
A total disaster.
Their first double blank since Vegas and Canada back in 2023. They basically proved that having a rocket ship of a car means absolutely nothing if the pit wall loses its nerve.
The pit wall choked.
They did. And it all traces back to putting Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri on intermediate tires while sitting 3rd and 4th on the grid. Putting Inters on a bone-dry track from the second row is like, I don't know, it's like playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun.
Or trying to run a marathon in snowshoes.
Exactly. The friction isn't just slowing you down, it is actively melting the rubber off the wheel.
It was a regulatory trap combined with just total strategic paralysis. So the FIA enforces this strict 5-minute rule on the grid. 5 minutes before the formation lap, your starting tires must be fitted to the car.
And you cannot change your mind without starting from the pit lane.
Right. So when McLaren made the call to fit those intermediates, there was a legitimate threat of drizzle on the weather radar. But then the start procedure was delayed with extra formation laps due to stalled cars at the back.
So by the time the lights actually went out, I mean, almost 15 minutes had passed since they committed to those tires.
A lifetime in F1.
The track was completely dry. There was no standing water anywhere on the racing line.
And intermediate tires on a dry track, they experience instantaneous thermal degradation. I mean, the tread blocks overheat, they blister, and they literally just fall apart within 3 laps.
Yeah, Norris got a massive launch off the line.
Huge launch, because the soft rubber grips well initially.
Right, but almost immediately, the tires were entirely cooked, which triggered this cascading disaster. Piastri realizes the tires are gone, dives into the pits to change them, comes out, and instantly collides with Alex Albon.
Takes his front wing right off.
Destroys it, has to bid again, takes a penalty, and then Norris suffers a mechanical failure on top of it all. But honestly, the strategic collapse isn't even the scariest part for McLaren. It's the fact that they suffered their first actual downgrade in years.
Yeah, the new front wing they brought to Friday practice was a complete failure. Since mid-2023, basically every single piece of carbon fiber McLaren bolted onto that car yielded lap time.
It was a magic bullet every time.
But this new wing destroyed the aerodynamic balance. The internal data shows the drivers lost all confidence in the front end. The telemetry showed it was bleeding time in the high-speed sections, and they had to abandon it completely and revert to the old spec.
So wait, does this failed front wing prove McLaren has finally hit their development ceiling under these regulations? Because abandoning a major upgrade package this early in the season, that's a massive red flag for a team with title ambitions.
Well, in the ground effect era, aerodynamic development isn't linear. They haven't necessarily hit a ceiling, they've hit the wall of complexity.
Yep, blame that.
The wind tunnel evaluates the car in a straight line at a perfect static ride height. But on the brutal curbs of Montreal, the car is pitching, it's rolling, it's bouncing.
Right, it's never static.
Exactly. That new front wing was supposed to generate more downforce, but instead it sent dirty, turbulent air straight into the floor edges, completely stalling the underbody. When your correlation breaks down, when your simulation tools essentially lie to you, panic sets in at the factory.
And that anxiety bleeds directly onto the pit wall.
That's exactly how you end up putting Inters on a dry track. The foundational confidence of the team is just gone.
And speaking of panic, Red Bull's setup paralysis is a massive warning flare for the rest of the grid. But before we get to Red Bull's total internal breakdown, McLaren's absence from the front immediately opened the door for Lewis Hamilton to just flex his muscles.
Oh, he was brilliant.
Hamilton looked like his legendary 2021 self. He absolutely obliterated Charles Leclerc all weekend. The braking stability he was extracting from that Ferrari, the way he was rotating the car in the slow speed chicanes. I mean, he wasn't just fast. He was smiling, joking, setting records in the media pen. The aura is completely back.
It was a vintage performance. I mean, Leclerc is an exceptional talent, but Hamilton in Canada is a different entity entirely. And the absolute peak of that performance was the pass on Max Verstappen.
Unbelievable pass.
It wasn't just raw bravery, it was extreme technical awareness.
Yeah, because Hamilton saw on his steering wheel display that the red energy light was flashing on the back of Max's car.
The clipping light.
Right. The second Max runs out of electrical deployment, out of the hairpin, he's instantly shedding, what, 160 horsepower?
About that, yeah.
Hamilton timed his attack perfectly, utilizing his own saved battery energy to just blow past Max right before the braking zone. It was a surgical strike.
A strike that exposes a genuinely shocking reality for Red Bull. It took 5 races for Max Verstappen to get his first podium of the season.
5 races.
Think about that. And if Mercedes and McLaren hadn't suffered DNFs in Montreal, the telemetry shows Max would have finished 6th on pure pace.
Which means the situation inside Red Bull is explosive. We are looking at a full-blown civil war over the car's setup right now. Max was fighting his engineers all weekend.
Very publicly, too.
Yeah. He demanded a specific, compliant mechanical setup to ride Canada's aggressive curbs, and the team completely overruled him. They forced him onto their simulation-approved setup, and it failed spectacularly.
It was a disaster.
The car was incredibly stiff, totally unpredictable, and Max was furious. He called them out privately in the debriefs and loudly to the media.
Because the simulator doesn't feel the harshness of the curb strikes in reality. Max relies on mechanical compliance to attack the chicanes, but the engineers gave him a plank of wood.
A literal plank of wood.
Because the aero department demanded a stiff platform to keep the floor sealed. And now, he's taking it a step further. Max is actively threatening to leave Formula One entirely if the 2027 engine regulations aren't altered to his liking.
Okay, come on. Is Max actually going to walk away from the pinnacle of motorsport in his prime? Or is this just high-stakes, mafia-style leverage to force Red Bull to fix their crumbling car?
Oh, it is absolute leverage. But it's leverage with teeth, because Max doesn't bluff. His raw talent is the only thing keeping that Red Bull from sinking into the midfield right now.
That's true.
When he threatens to leave over the 2027 regulations, he is sending a direct message to the Red Bull boardroom. He's saying, your current development path is a disaster. If you don't give me the tools to win today, I won't stick around to drive a tractor tomorrow. He is exerting total political dominance over a technical department that is currently failing him.
And if a dominant team like Red Bull can't mask their aerodynamic flaws, the midfield teams, who are relying almost entirely on customer engines to hide their broken aero round, they are completely exposed. Look at Alpine.
What a turnaround.
They are definitively the 5th best team right now. Franco Colapinto is having this meteoric rise, gaining immense confidence, making 0 errors, and actively overpowering Pierre Gasly on pure pace.
And the foundational shift there is the switch to Mercedes power units. They went from being the absolute laughingstock, the dead last back markers, to the kings of the midfield purely by bolting a superior engine into the back of that chassis.
It's crazy.
It proves just how much the power unit dictates your existence in modern Formula One.
Totally. And look at Williams. Carlos Sainz took a massive gamble on Inters from 15th on the grid. It didn't work out strategically, but he still dragged that car into the points, completely outclassing Alex Albon.
Who's phenomenal.
But their aero upgrades are barely keeping them afloat. They are surviving purely on engine parity. Which brings us to the ultimate illusion on the grid right now, Aston Martin.
Oh, Aston Martin is entirely a construct of Fernando Alonso's genius.
Fernando dragging that Aston Martin to the front during sprint qualifying and race starts is like putting a bespoke Italian suit on a crumbling mannequin.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
It looks incredible for a brief second, but it's completely hollow. The car is fundamentally broken. And on top of that, he had to retire the car in Canada because of a physically agonizing defective seat.
A two-time world champion retiring a car because his seat is physically injuring him. That tells you everything you need to know about Aston Martin's current operational standards.
It's embarrassing.
But Alonso's brilliance is actually hurting the team's long-term development.
Wait, how so?
By throwing that car into corners at speeds it has absolutely no right to handle, he is masking the aerodynamic deficits. The engineers look at the telemetry, they see Alonso in the top 6, and they falsely conclude their upgrades are working.
But they aren't.
No, they aren't. Alonso's just defying physics.
And while Aston Martin lies to themselves in the data, the FIA has introduced a massive new variable to save the truly desperate engine manufacturers. We have to break down this new duo system because it is an unprecedented emergency lifeline.
It really is. So the DUA system allows struggling engine manufacturers, specifically those severely lagging behind the benchmark power unit, to borrow from their future development budget.
Okay.
They can pull financial and computational resources from 2027 and beyond and inject them into current engine development to take immediate evolution steps this season.
But wait, borrowing future money to fix today's engine, isn't Honda just taking out a payday loan that's going to completely bankrupt their future performance? How does this not end in disaster for their 2027 project?
Because if Honda doesn't take the payday loan, the project dies today.
Wow.
It's a matter of immediate survival. Honda has been bleeding out. They've been caught out by the hybrid deployment metrics, shedding massive horsepower on the straights compared to Mercedes and Ferrari.
They're sitting ducks.
Exactly. If the FIA hands you a lifeline to fix your engine now, you take it. Yes, you sacrifice the future, but in Formula One, if you are a second off the pace today, there is no future.
Right. Sponsors walk, drivers leave.
The board pulls the funding entirely. The duo system is a desperate gamble, but it's the absolute only card Honda has left to play.
Survive today, figure out tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Right.
That perfectly encapsulates the entire grid right now. From Honda's desperate financial gamble to Mercedes' internal civil war, every driver and team principal is living on the absolute razor's edge.
And the pressure cooker is about to hit maximum capacity.
Oh, yeah.
The after-hours flyaway races are over. The chaotic, unpredictable early season is behind us. We're returning to the sport's traditional, unforgiving European heartland.
Monaco is next.
Monaco, which punishes the slightest driver error with the wall. Then Barcelona, which ruthlessly exposes every single aerodynamic flaw on the car. There is literally nowhere left to hide.
Which brings us to the final, chilling question you really need to be asking yourself this week. Kimi Antonelli is leading the championship by 43 points. He has been flawless. Everything has gone his way.
A dream start.
The Italian media is already crowning him the next world champion ahead of Monaco. But in Formula One, the pendulum always violently swings back.
Always.
When, not if, but when this 19-year-old suffers his first string of catastrophic DNFs. When the car breaks from the lead, or when he bins it into the barriers at St. Devote, will he bounce back like a champion? Or will the crushing, suffocating weight of a Mercedes title fight shatter him entirely?
We are about to find out if the kid is made of carbon fiber or glass.
Keep your eyes on the telemetry. The diagnostic tools are failing, the paddock is scrambling, and the European leg is about to tear this championship wide open. We'll see you on the pit wall.